You're welcome back. Now, the month of September is dedicated to promoting right age enrollment. And of course, the right age is 4. So for us at Joy News, there's a series of discussions geared towards asking the pertinent questions and getting the right resource persons to respond to the issues raised. And today, we're going to bring you the story of 23-year-old Maudlin Efia Aqua, who is currently an auditor with KPMG. Now, Maudlin started school at the right age, and so she got a head start over her peers.
Maudlin started school at age 4, completed university at age 22, and secured her first job a few months after. Maudlin is now 23 and an auditor with the international accounting and auditing firm KPMG. Maudlin believes it is her confidence which gave her an upper hand over her colleagues who she competed with for the same position. She attributes this confidence to her days in early grade school.
You know, at that age, you do a lot of work, you do stage plays, you do Christmas, how do they call it, Christmas festivities. All those things help. You'll be thinking that the child will have to study a poem for several days, recite it, rehearse. It helps in building the child's confidence. It helps in building the child's retentive memory. It helps the child socialize.
Sharing her experience in early grade school, Maudlin says those moments are very critical and should not elude any child, and for that matter, their total education.
For me, back in learning skills, when we were going to do poem recitals, I'll shiver. But for the fear of not excelling, I'll come home and rehearse it over and over again till I can memorize the words. And it helped me through SS, it helped me through university. I'm good with memorizing. I just have to.
So let's see what else we can learn about right age enrollment. We're very honored to have with us Fakor Disu. He's a program officer and national coordinator for communication for development at Basic Education Division of the Ghana Education Service right here in Accra. Mr. Disu, how nice to meet you, and thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you too.
There's a lot for us to learn about right age enrollment. Let's start from the beginning. Why is the age 4 the right age?
Well, thank you very much, Kojo. And to start with, I would say that the Education Act 2008 mainstreamed kindergarten education as part of the formal basic education in Ghana. And by that act, it is mandated that every child of 4 years should be enrolled in KG. And so that is why we pick it from 4 years as the right age to enroll a child in kindergarten.
Because the law says so?
Yes.
But are there any actual benefits to the child of starting at age 4?
Definitely, there are. And child development experts and psychologists make us understand that the first 6 years, some have the view that the first 8 years, but so between 6 and 8 years, the first 6 and 8 years of every child are very critical, because it is these during this stage that the child develops cognitively, and then behavior patterns are formed, and then emotional well-being is also developed. So these are very crucial period in the life of every child. And so when you get a child in school at that stage, you help the child to maximize on these development dimensions of every human being.
Now, across the country, what has the GAS found to be the reason why we still have many children who are going to school much later than the law says they should?
Well, some of them could be attributed to cultural practices in some communities, for example, there is a practice that during certain time of the year, children from that community kind of do some exchange program with children in neighboring countries like Burkina and so on. So they go there sometimes for 6 months or for a year, and they come back. So assuming they were in school, but because of the requirement of this tradition that they have to go, when they go, it means they are out of school. And so coming back, it will delay their re-entry in school. Yeah. And then also children, parents who require that their children should mature a little bit, that is beyond 4 years, especially in communities where they would have to walk long distances before accessing the nearest school. So these are some of the reasons. And then also, to add to that, we could say that the farming communities where they want their children to support them on the farm, and then the fisher folks as well, they want their children to support them. So they want them to support them up to a point when they feel that, okay, the next child or the next sibling is old enough to also do what they were doing, then they will release the first one to go to school. So all this mean that they will not enroll at the right age.
Now, you mentioned that it is by law, yes, that a child must go to school at age 4.
Yes.
So those who are doing all these things you've described, yes, are breaking the law?
To some extent.
Well, yeah, they are. Extent, yes. So what is the GES doing to bring these people to book? Because from the examples you've given me, it would sound like they are making a choice, yeah, to break this law.
Yeah.
You know, when you say that I want my child to go to the farm until he's a certain age before I release him or her to school. If you say that, well, my child is not old enough, or I'm sending my child to Burkina Faso, you know, for an exchange program. These are choices that, yeah, parents are making. Yeah. So what is the GES doing to ensure that parents who choose not to send their children to school at the right age are penalized for it?
Well, we want to slow down on the punitive aspect, but for your information, GES, in collaboration with UNICEF, has developed a communication for development strategy. You would observe that the statement you just made borders on the attitudes and behaviors of these parents and guardians. And so the strategy seeks to educate these parents and their guardians and other stakeholders as to the benefits of enrolling their wards at the right age. So we are working towards sensitizing them, conscientizing them, educating them, and then creating the awareness for them to appreciate the benefits of enrolling at the right age. So that is the path we have chosen, rather than to go the legalistic, if I may use that word.
Okay, so you've chosen to educate them. Yes. So how long have you been educating them for? The strategy was put together in 2014, but actual implementation began in 2016. So that is what is happening. So for 2 years now, you've been educating, yes, parents.
Yes.
But are they aware that what they are doing is illegal?
Yes, some of them are aware, but like I said,
it's not part of the education.
But we are doing that as well. But I'm saying that the emphasis is on getting them to have the buy-in as to why they have to send their children to school at the right age.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. When you speak to these parents, what exactly is the message? This education you give them, how exactly do you explain to them why it's important to send your children to school at the right age?
For example, the way the strategy works is that we have, you know, every district has a district education office or directorate. So officers have been trained, and they engage stakeholders like Ghana Health Service, the Agric Extension officers, and so on. And they have been educated with the benefits of right age enrollment, so that in their engagement, for example, as a nurse, when women come to the antenatal, they take advantage of that. After they have attended to their health needs, then they send the right age enrollment message across. So these are some of the ways we are engaging them to get them conscientized.
You talked about the fact that some parents don't take their children to school at the right age because, well, the school is a bit far away.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have one in their community.
Yeah.
Now, for such a parent, what's the point of educating him or her? There is still no school to send his or her child to. So what amount of education would be useful to such a parent?
Well, it is important to note that government is committed to bridging this gap of infrastructure deficit, and therefore at least about 80 kindergartens are being constructed nationwide to bridge this gap and to ensure that
will that close the gap
and ensure that to a large extent, to ensure that young children will not have to walk very long distances to access basic education.
How many kindergartens are needed to ensure that we have national coverage for all areas?
Well, you know, I may not have the exact figure right now.
You were saying that 80 will
about
bridge
80,
the gap to a large extent.
I'm saying that government is committed, and contracts have been awarded in this regard.
For about 80 of them.
About 80 of them.
You mentioned it would bridge the gap to a large extent. So does that mean that the total figure needed is not a lot more than 80?
Well, I can get you the exact figures later, but not for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So generally, what is the message that parents across the country need to get from this campaign, which has been going on for the month of September?
Yeah.
What is the basic message that parents need to get?
Well, every child has potential. Every child is capable of rising to whatever level that God has endowed him or her with. And so the Right Age Enrollment campaign also includes children with special needs. So every child of school-going age is encouraged to go to school. By extension, their parents and their guardians should send them to school. Don't say that a child is maybe challenged or impaired in a way. Just send the child to school, and the child will be taken care of. So that is the message. More importantly, that basic education is free, and so they are not expected to pay anything. So
provided there is a school in their area, of course.
Yes.
Okay. We saw a video of a young lady who was fortunate enough to start school at the right age. She's in her early 20s and is already an auditor at KPMG. You know, clearly she has charted her educational path quite quickly, as is expected, and has found herself in the job market at a very early age. Do you get the opportunity to use such examples in the education campaign that the Ghana Education Service is running?
Yes. In the communities, they take advantage of role models. Yes, and they use them to send the message across. However, there is also, very soon, there is going to be the National Mass Media Campaign that is promoting right age enrollment. And we have other influencers that we are going to use. I mean, personalities who have benefited from the education system simply because they enrolled at the right age. So that is part of the campaign.
Do you have some targets? By the end of this campaign, do you have an expectation that you would have enrolled a certain number at the right age? Are you working with some numerative targets?
Yes. In GES, there are some statistics that we work with. One of them is what we call the NER. The NER stands for Net Enrollment Rate. Net Enrollment Rate is an attempt to measure the number of children in a defined geographical area and their ages as in school. So, for instance, how many children are in Accra of 4 to 5 years old? We expect them to be in KG. So the net enrollment rate measures that and say that there are this number of children in this area. Of them, this number is in school at the right age. So that statistic tells us that nationally at the KG, we are around 74%, which means that there is a gap of approximately 26%. So we are trusting and hoping that with all the efforts we are going to put in place, we will reduce that gap of 26%, and perhaps in 2 years' time, we should be around 95% thereabout of right age enrollment. Yes.
You would then have to sustain it into the ongoing years. What's the strategy for that?
Like I said, there's going to be a mass media campaign which will be rolling out very soon, before October. It will start, and it will be sustained, and it's going to be, let's say between June and the end of August. That is prior to the academic year. So when we do it this year, next year also we'll do it from June to August ending to whip up the momentum. Meanwhile, between January and June, there will be that interpersonal engagement. Like I explained, the various stakeholders will be going to engage the communities, educating them about the benefits of right age enrollment.
So for the long term, it will be just continued engagement and education.
Yes.
At what point will you feel that you've educated enough and it's time to actually enforce the law?
Well, for now, I'm not able to say that, but because the emphasis is get them enrolled, get them retained, get them educated. So as you go along, I believe that will be an issue we'll consider later.
Until then, the law simply sits on our books with no real value.
Well, it is better. We believe it is. We will be doing a lot more good if we are able to convince them. Changing people's behavior and attitude takes time. So it is a process, and we believe that with the right message and the right partnership, like you are doing, supporting us, sending the message across, we will get there.
Farko Disu is a program officer and national coordinator for Communication for Development at Basic Education Division of the Ghana Education Service, based here in Accra, and he is part of the team that is working hard to make sure that across the country we are able to enroll children at the right age so that we can see them progress through life at the pace that we saw modeling progressing, to the point where now at the age of in her early 20s, she is already an auditor at KPMG, just because she started at the right age. Let's hope that the Ghana Education Service and all its partners, including us in the media, can work hard to achieve similar results across the country. Mr. Disu, thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciate the education.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
All right.
Well, there's so much more to come on the AM show. Mama B will be engaging members of the Association of Ghana Industries. How has the city affected them? And as they gear up for a big national event, how exactly are they hoping that you and I can engage with the work that they do at that industrial level to improve our nation? That and so much more coming up on the AM show. Stay there.